Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we will talk about the major astrological events of 2025, a year extremely packed with important alignments which will make it a very intense year. So let's take a look at this glyph here, which represents an overview of the main planetary movements throughout the year. Already at a first glance, we can see that that's a lot going on in the zodiac signs of Aries and Gemini, as well as Cancer and Pisces. So let's break this down a little bit, analyzing them one by one. We're going to start with the lunar nodes, which in 2025 will officially enter the Pisces-Virgo axis. I remind you that the lunar nodes always have a retrograde motion, and this means that they're going to move backwards from the Aries-Libra axis to enter the Pisces-Virgo axis. And the passage of the mean lunar nodes in these two zodiac signs occurs very early in the year, namely on January 29. This means that most of the eclipses during the year will take place in Pisces or Virgo, although one of them will still take place in Aries. So here's the list of 2025 eclipses. We're going to have, as you can see, a total lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14, then a partial solar eclipse in Aries on March 29, and then during eclipse season 2, a total lunar eclipse in Pisces of September 7 and a partial solar eclipse in Virgo on September 21, which, by the way, is the date of the fall equinox. Now, in particular, we want to point out the eclipses of March that are going to be very intense. And this is because, for example, the eclipse of March 14 will activate the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Yes, the eclipse is going to be in conjunction with an eclipse. And we're going to definitely talk about this conjunction later on in this video, but please note that during the same month, a lot is going to take place. Both Mercury and Venus will be retrograde, so we don't want to hide basically that spring 2025 is going to be an extremely intense season. Moving on to Mercury, like every year, it is going to make 3 station rings during 2025, confirming the same pattern that it has created during 2024. In fact, Mercury is going to turn retrograde in all 3 fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sag, even though this time Mercury is also going to involve a couple of water signs. So let's take a look at the major dates for Mercury stationings throughout the year. So Mercury will be retrograde between Aries and Pisces from March 15 to April 7. And this, among other things, again, together with Venus and during eclipse season 1. So again, a definitely super intense March. After that, it will turn retrograde in Leo from July 18 to August 11. And finally, it will be retrograde between Sagittarius and Scorpio between November 9 and November 29. Moving on to Venus, here you can see the 3 stations of Mercury together with that of Venus. In fact, in 2025, Venus will also turn retrograde, and as we mentioned, in Aries as well, and on top of that, in conjunction with Mercury retrograde. So here's the dates. Venus will make its first stationing at 10 degrees and 50 minutes Aries on March the 2nd, and it will move retrograde, entering back into Pisces, where it will make its second stationing at 24 degrees and 37 minutes on April 13. And at the same time, from March 15 to April 7, Mercury will also be retrograde between Aries and Pisces, creating a very long conjunction that will last a month between March and April. So as for Mars, I remind you that until February 24, 2025, Mars will be retrograde between Leo and Cancer. You can watch my video about it. And this involves a long stay of Mars in Cancer, the sign of its fall. And Mars will stay in Cancer for more than 3 months. That is from January 6 to April 18, 2025. And why is this important? It is very, very important because Mars is the ruler of Aries, and it is still going to be debilitated during spring. So this means that this does not help at all the situation of all the planets that will enter Aries between March and April, because their ruler, Mars, is going to be in detriment. I am referring here not only to Venus and Mercury, but above all to Neptune. Moving on to Jupiter, this planet changes sign basically once a year, just like the hour hand of a clock. At the beginning of June, Jupiter will finally leave Gemini, where it is in exile, to enter Cancer, the zodiac sign of its exaltation. And this is usually a very positive transit. However, we must be cautious here. In fact, we have to take a look first at the aspects of Jupiter in 2025. So here they are. These are the major aspects created by Jupiter throughout 2025. And as you can see, Jupiter is making a square with Saturn and Neptune, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in June. So this means that we have to be careful when it comes to analyzing this transit, because Jupiter in Cancer could start fueling extreme forms of nationalisms all around the world. And as we know, in times of war, this doesn't help at all to ease the tension. So let's address now the elephant in the room, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I've already talked about it in the video of Saturn in Pisces, so I'll leave you the link in the description box down here. However, we're definitely going to talk about it again in a future video. This is indeed a powerful conjunction, and last time it occurred, it was in Capricorn in 1989 during the fall of the Berlin Wall. And for this reason, it is in general a conjunction that suggests variations from a geopolitical standpoint in the overall structure of international balances. Let's now see the main dates of the movements of Saturn and Neptune between 2025 and 2026. Neptune will enter Aries on March 30th, 2025, whereas Saturn's entry is expected on May 25. Using 4 degrees of tolerance, their conjunction will be active from April 21 to October 31. And it is very interesting to note that the two planets will not perfect the conjunction. They're going to almost touch each other, standing at just 13 minutes apart, not even a degree, reaching the peak of their conjunction on July 16. In fall, they will both move backwards into Pisces, Saturn on September 1 and Neptune on October 22, 2025. Whereas in 2026, they will both enter back into Aries, Neptune on January 26 and Saturn on February 14, 2026. Their conjunction will last from December 13, 2025 to April 7, 2026, and this time the conjunction is going to perfect on February 20th, 2026. But there's more. Moving on, we have to talk about the other major transit expected for 2025. I am referring to the ingress of Uranus in Gemini, which will create a trine with Pluto that, as we know, in 2024 entered Aquarius for good. Uranus and Pluto will not only be in trine, but they will form a so-called minor grand trine, closed by 2 sextiles with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. You can see it better here. We have the minor grand trine between Uranus and Pluto, and the sextiles that the planets make with both Saturn and Neptune. We also note Jupiter in Cancer, making the square that we mentioned before with Saturn and Neptune. We have to say that even though they are mostly harmonious aspects, these planets will work together to bring about a powerful transformation at a geopolitical level. And in general, change is not something that we necessarily perceive as positive. And this is because we're all creatures of habit, right? So this is huge, guys. So here's the major dates for Uranus 2025. First of all, the ingress in Gemini expected for July 7, 2025. Then Uranus will make the minor grand trine formed by a very long sextile with Neptune that will last more than 2 years from May 22, 2025 to September 3. Then the sextile with Saturn, since Saturn is close to Neptune, from February 18 to October 12, 2025. On the other hand, the trine of Uranus with Pluto will be active between June 23 and December 19, 2025. And in this case as well, the two planets won't be able to touch each other completely, meaning that the conjunction is not going to perfect. The peak will be on September 19, when the two planets will be just 7 minutes apart. Again, not even a degree, just 7 minutes. And finally, on November 8, 2025, Uranus will enter back into Taurus until April 26, 2026, when it will complete its entry into Gemini. In conclusion, on the comet front, we're waiting for the non-periodic comet C2024 G3 Atlas. Atlas is the acronym of a system designed for the identification of comets, and for this reason, the name recurs several times in the name of a bunch of comets. And the perihelion of this particular comet is expected for January 13, which is a very special date because on that day, we are going to have the first full moon of the year, which is going to be a full moon in Cancer. There are many other minor comets, but not as bright, that we will keep an eye on during 2025. As you can see, 2025 will be a very special year because it is very likely that important geopolitical balances will be reconfigured at a global level. So, as always, I invite you to subscribe to the channel not to miss out on future astrological updates about all the topics that we covered in this video here. As always, thanks for watching. I wish you a happy 2025. See you in the next video in January, right after the holidays break. Big hug. Bye, everyone.